to start with a little music, as you guys can tell. Let's try to get this started and see how this goes. This should go here, except sometimes I want to pause this, so just wait 1 second. If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer. All right. So a lot of times humor doesn't translate over the computer, but there, that looks good. I can pause this now when I want. All right. This is the introduction lecture, and let me say a couple things. Of course, we're online in these unprecedented times. Asynchronous. Say asynchronous one more time, right? Hope you guys have seen those memes I put up. So tired of hearing this, but I'm used to doing this live. It's how I work. It's my style. I know some of your friends have had me before, and they've told you that. But we're doing our best online. So let's get moving on. This is an introduction to history lecture, and I do it every semester on the first night of class, first day of class to get going. So my name is Professor Harrington. Some have asked if it's Jared or Wade. My name is Jared Wade Harrington. I've always gone by Wade. Blame my parents. I don't know why. I have 3 sons. I live behind the orange curtain. And again, a lot of jokes I'm going to make. I'm going to say it right here in the first lecture. Probably either going to go over your head or your thought is, what? And sometimes they don't translate online. But hey, I've been doing this for years and it's how I do it. So we live in Orange County and I have 3 boys. Wait for it. Is everyone ready? Not too many people know this, but my wife is about to spit out another kid in 21 days. Yeah, so number 3 was an absolute surprise, as you're going to find out. And number 4 is, oh, that was me hitting the ground. Sorry, hold on. I don't even know. Okay, I got to figure out what makes this happen and take care of this. This is my first son, Truman Phineas Harrington. No, it's not from Phineas Ferb or anything like that. We had a dog named Otis, and Ice-T's name on Law & Order is, anyone? It's hard for me to teach online, people, so get used to it. I'm used to teaching live. Odafin Tutalola, and right, we love his character, and they call him Finn. So Finn, Otis, Phineas, we kind of put it together way before I knew about that TV show. This is our second son. His name is Jackson Daniel Harrington. Drum roll. Oh, there's my drum roll. Exactly. I feel like William H. Macy and Seabiscuit here, okay? Oh, and all this. Jack Daniels, he is named after the best American whiskey, in my opinion, okay? There's Jackson. Tap's a special little boy. We might learn more about him in class. We may not, but that's him in the middle of Harmony and Harbinger 50th wedding anniversary. He just picked up my Guinness hat and started wearing it. Little hipster on the left, and he found those goggles at Big Bear and just started wearing them one day. He's a funny guy. This was the underwanted child here. I used to call him the unwanted child, but my students started complaining, so I changed it to underwanted. Just mostly not wanted. He was a complete surprise, and we've gone 6 years without any other surprises until February, and my wife came home and said, I'm pregnant. So they come around all the time. Be careful. And usually in class here, we take some time to guess this one's name. So I have Truman. I have Jackson. What could possibly be this guy's name? So boom, starts going. Some classes, hopefully not yours, sit there and look like they're on another planet, but others do a really good job, and they all say, Washington. That's usually the first guess. And I said, I wanted to name him Washington Irving Harrington. My wife threatened divorce. Okay, George Washington, obviously. Washington Irving wrote the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Ding, no good. Next, someone usually says Jefferson. Oh, okay, I wanted to name him William Jefferson Harrington, okay? My wife had her bags packed. Now, most of us don't know. I have a lot of students that say to me, who's William Jefferson? Thomas Jefferson, I get, but who's William Jefferson? Now listen up, okay? I just want to say right now, okay, people, listen, America. I did not have sex with that woman, okay? Hillary's right here by my side, okay? Now listen, I repeat, read my lips. I did not have sex with that woman, okay? All right, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's real name is William Jefferson Clinton. All right, so Jefferson, I tried that. And then people usually go with Roosevelt, Kennedy, Reagan. We get not for a boy, but we get all these names. Students usually did a pretty good job. Hopefully you have yours written down. If you guessed it, email me and I'll send you like a penny or something, okay? And you can bite it like Underdog. But it's Grant Frederick, okay? My wife thinks it's Freddie Mercury, but for me it's more of Frederick the Great, Frederick the First, Frederick the Second, Barbarossa, these kind of things. They all look alike, in case you haven't heard. Babies, look, right? My wife always tries to tease me. I can't wait for this 4th one. I have no idea who these kids are except by the shirt that I'm wearing. Truman, a Beatles shirt. Jackson Daniel, a Jack Daniels shirt. And, as you just heard, AC/DC for Grant. So it'll be interesting to see. I think I'll have a shirt on that says, I woke up in Mexico in a bathtub of ice with my kidneys removed or something like that after this 4th kid. I just don't really know, okay? This, again, how things translate online, I don't really know. But guess what? Hey, I don't really care. Okay, so in a live class, this works really well because this is the crux of my class and how I teach and why so many people love me or hate me. Uh, I can't help it. But take a look here. Okay, you can't see me in person. I don't know if there's a picture of me anywhere, but as you can clearly see here, my three kids, most students that start seeing this and they're looking at me as I'm lecturing, they realize, wow, these kids look kind of Asian, and I am clearly not Asian. I am Caucasian. All right, let's leave that. I am white, okay? And the point is, my wife is Korean American, okay? And so the point I try to make out of this is very simply put, and again, how this translates on online, I don't know. You guys are listening to a lecture. You can participate. It works out. But here's the way I want to explain it. When my parents from the Midwest, who are white, see this, they usually look at me, and again, all this is in a joking way. Don't take it so seriously, people. Like, hey, are you sure those are your kids? Like, did you get the DNA test? You know, I'm like, yeah, no, we didn't, but they're mine. You know, because they see what they want to see. My wife's parents, who are obviously clearly Korean, they look at this and they look at the middle kid for the most part and say, that's the one in the middle of the screen. Is that your kid? Because that kid looks white, you know? And the point of that whole thing is don't get caught up in this, students. Don't sit here and fascinate on this with race. That's not the point of this part of the lecture. Is that's how we see the world. Is it not correct? Think about it. We all have these biases or whatever it's called. We all have this way of seeing the world through our own eyes because of who we are, how we're raised. And again, with my parents and my wife's parents, none of this is in a negative framework. It's just we're a reflection of our own, however that phrase goes, right? And so the whole point of my class and the crux of my class, where I usually get good students who give me the nod right here in the first minute, like, oh yeah, is we're going to try to look at history through different lenses. That's all it is. That's what I'm getting at here, okay? So hopefully you guys can grasp that. Ask any American, you know, what about this? Well, yeah, America, pro-America, yeah, and that's fine to be that way. But, I mean, the point is this. Ask them what's the greatest country on the face of the earth? America, Texas, you know, that's what I call it. So you hear me call America Texas all the time. Well, ask someone in Canada, what's the greatest country? I remember growing up thinking, well, of course they're going to say America. No, I mean, the Germans think they're pretty cool. The French think they're pretty cool too, okay? So different perspectives help us see the world and see things in different ways. Oh, this is a little more in class I do, but as you can see, they've grown up. These are old pictures. My kids now are 8, 7, and 6. They're gonna be in a Beatles imitation band. We'll just have to hire Ringo. Oh no, I guess we're having Ringo in 20 days. Wow, I've been using that joke for 6 or 7 years. 6 years, I guess, with Grant. We don't have to hire Ringo anymore. Ringo's on the way. I just got excited, people. Okay, and they actually like each other occasionally. There. I guess you can't see me. There's a picture of me. I said there wasn't. I don't even know people. I don't like online stuff. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to put my all into this. So don't read into things I say the wrong way. Okay, I prefer in class session. I've been making jokes forever since I started that you guys are going to be doing everything online. Everything. You're going to have school online. You're going to take your driver's test online. I've even made this joke. You're going to have sex online. You're going to have a kid online. Don't even ask me what that looks like. Just clean off the keyboard, okay? Because I don't know what that's going to be like. But clearly, my silly predictions are coming closer to true with what we're all going through right now. With everything being online. Everything. Yeah, there you go. See, they smile occasionally. And that one's pretty cool, too. First day. I guess, again, this was a while ago, but Grant even had his that he insisted on participating even though he doesn't even go to school. He'd cried his head off before. Oh, wow, I don't know why that blank thing is there, but okay. And then there they are today, so you get a little better look. They have, oh, that's kind of annoying, but they have grown up. Okay, 8, 7, and 6, and a new one on the way in 20 days. Okay, so let's talk about this. Famous failures. Michael Jordan, after being cut from his, and again, this is just an intro lecture that I do to get students used to history and to get your brain going and to meet me for the first time, which for some of you it's going to be quite a ride. After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home and locked himself in his room and cried. The Beatles. Anybody like the Beatles? Hands up. See, I always teach like this too, so you will hear me doing this. Anybody? Like you guys are looking at me. I know what you might be saying. Hey, why don't you use Zoom? Well, because I don't want Nazi propaganda and porn dropped into Zoom in my classroom. That's why, okay? So I'm not a big fan of it. And if you don't get that joke, look it up. It was happening all last semester at USC and everywhere. The greatest band on the face of the earth, that would be my opinion. Most positively not an opinion but a fact, the most successful band on the face of the earth, the Beatles. Most number one hits of anyone in the world, the Beatles, 32 for John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Rejected by Decca Recording Studios, who said, we don't like their sound, they have no future in show business. That's great. I don't care much for Eminem or Steve Jobs, so we're skipping. Walt Disney, fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. Okay? See, there's jokes that I insert here that I just don't think. See the Family Guy. I know some of you might be chuckling right now about Walt Disney going back to modern day, from the modern day. But I just, online, I'm not going to do them. Oprah Winfrey was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she, quote, wasn't fit for television, right? What a joke. She's the most successful person on television. Albert Einstein wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old, and his teacher said he would never amount to much. If you haven't tried anything new, you haven't failed, you haven't tried anything new. So what's that mean? Half of you are going to fail in my class. But hey, hang in there. There's hope, all right? Keep hope alive. We don't need no education. Yes, you do. You just use a double negative. I love that kind of stuff. I love oxymorons. When Roger Waters wrote that, I'm sure he just had to giggle, right? We don't need no. What about that next part? No dark what? I had a buddy in high school that thought he said, no dogs or cats in the classroom. Dark sarcasm. I must ask you a question, but I'm shaving it for later, right? There he is, the man, Sean Connery. I mean, come on. If you haven't seen James Bond, this is the real James Bond. My kids call him James Bomb, okay, which is pretty funny. Him and Dr. No, when he comes out in those swim trunks, look out, ladies. Or gentlemen, I don't discriminate. That's one thing about me. Nothing made you happy. Remember this? So I actually watched, it's a true story, I watched the Space Shuttle Challenger blow up on one of these. I'm not going to tell the story here. Let's move on, but it was pretty traumatizing. There was no tape delay on TV, and they brought it in for us to watch live at school in the 6th grade or 7th. I can't quite remember. But the point of this is I will show some clips and online stuff, as some of you will see in classes. But I'm not when I teach class, I don't just show videos and zone out. I'm here to earn my pay. All right, this one's important. I've been harping on this one, and I really appreciate it. I'm getting a lot of emails, which I love, from students saying, I can do a professional email. I know how to capitalize. Thank you. Keep it up. For those of you very few that aren't, get on that horse right now, because I will not tolerate it. We are professionals. You're not even training here just to be educated. You're training to be a professional, okay? So start acting like one. You want to text your buddies or your girlfriends and your friends, just, with these kind of, I think it's called text argot, and stuff. Hey, go ahead. Fine, But when you're doing a professional setting, don't do that, okay? My phone is getting a call that says potential spam right now. I really want to answer it and ask for a spam musubi, but a few of you will get that, but you won't. The other thing is, I need you guys to listen. I'm teaching 4 different classes. Now, not all your lectures are going to be like this, okay, but 4 different classes at 3 or 4 different schools. So this intro lecture is going to cover everyone. So when we get down here, I'll mention it again, but when we get down to like things you're going to learn in this class, you're going to see things, for example, you're in U.S. history, early half. You're going to hear things about like World War II and all that doesn't apply to you. You guys understand? So I'm going to, things you're going to learn. One of those are going to be for you. The other 3 are going to be for different classes. Same for those of you in World Civ 2 or U.S. History 2. You make sense? I can't make 4 of these lectures that are identical, just minus that part. So let's just roll with it, okay? I like this one. I used to say, in my class, you can just curse your head off, right? We all get together. We sure are vulgar. Now, what that means is, I've got my fair share of complaints. At every school I've taught at over the years, of just, wow, this class is pretty gruesome, and history, and yes, the answer is yes. History is violent, people. The world is violent. Now, I don't know how that would go this semester either, me saying, I've always asked this every year, where's the world violent? I think I'd hear the United States today, which is fine, but typically I hear things like Iraq, Afghanistan, people love to say North Korea, which I'm not sure it's violent, except if you're North Korean. They kind of just hate their own people, unfortunately, but no one really goes there. But the point is, the world is a very violent place, a deadly place, and it's historically it's been even worse, right? I mean, the world's been unbelievably violent, and it is my view. So hold on to your everything, people. And this doesn't mean I don't like you if you're a millennial or if I use that term. Know that, people. My dad thinks my generation's worthless. All right, his dad thinks his generation's worthless. That's what happens, and you will think your kids' generations are worthless. It is a thing that happens, but there is no doubt that I feel as a historian we are shielding and guarding students from too much today, and that's my opinion. And I'm not going to do that in the class. That's the point of this slide. There will be clips to be watched that are from war movies, things. You'll hear vulgarity. You'll definitely hear cursing in certain clips and stuff of that nature. Doesn't mean that's what I want you to do, but I'm just trying to show you some things. clips will have that. The world is a very, very violent place, and I'm not going to shield that from you in a world or U.S. history class. Scientists say the universe is made of protons, neutrons, electrons. They forgot to mention morons. Now, I'll leave that out. But the point is, on this one, I'm not going to have too much trouble in an online class. And I don't usually, but occasionally I'll get some students that, you're wrong. Or here's the most famous one. Maybe you'll get the joke by looking at it. But, I've had students, especially in some classes, say, Mormons, they're all, and I'm using Mormons right now as an example, people. They're in a cult and they're going to hell. And I'm like, hey, that's not the point of a history class. You want to take a religion class? And again, I'm just using one example, right? Heard the same about Catholics, heard the same about Muslims, Christians, everybody. So it's okay, it's this cliche that we agree to disagree, but there is some truth to that, okay? So you can have strong opinions, that's fine, but you got to have some evidence to back it up, okay? I mean, the most classic one is, I hate Donald Trump, he's a racist. Okay, can you prove that? And I'm not saying you can't prove it, so don't hear me wrong. See, someone's already writing down, he's a Trump supporter. Yeah, good luck with that. I don't care who, I can't stand Obama. He wasn't born in the United States. And again, I'm throwing out these examples that if they bounce off you and you don't get them, you need to read the news more and understand where I'm coming from. And it's okay to say these things, but you be able to prove them. And then it's okay for someone to retort and say, I disagree that Donald Trump is a racist, and I can show you why. I can disagree that Barack Obama was born in the United States, in Hawaii, and I can prove that to you. So we do respect each other's opinions, but it's okay to have opinions, and it's okay to take a side and grab historical evidence to prove that. Okay? This is kind of for the Trump voters. Remember, heaven has a gate, a wall, and extreme vetting. That might go over a lot of people's heads, but take a look. You can always go back and pause my lectures, too, and take a look at that one. Oh, I think I've gotten in trouble at least 10 or 15 times for this one, but I refuse to back down. Hey, I know it might sound petty, but I won't back down. All right. When you do the least work in a group project, but the teacher gives you all the credit. And again, this is a great slide to show students about history. If anyone asked anyone in the world today, hey, who's the evilest dictator ever? And I love that term, dictator, right? I always say mostly dick, not much of a tater, okay? I mean, it's a great joke. You can't pass that up. Hold on. I was rushing to tell you that. I don't want you to think I was Stalin. Oh, God. Okay, don't worry. Okay, ready? Let's get these out real quick. What do you call somebody who speaks 3 languages? Trilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call somebody who speaks 1 language? An American. Okay, these are the 3 jokes I tell in class. What's it called when Batman leaves the church? A Christian Bale. All right. Finally, you got to go to the bathroom really bad. You're over in Europe. When you go in, you're Russian. When you come out, you're Finnish. What are you while you're in the bathroom? European. And now, hopefully, there were some students there that were screaming these out, and the roommates are going like, what the hell's going on with you? Just having fun with my professor, okay? But if you ask, who's the evilest dictator? Everyone would say, Adolf Hitler. And is he evil? Absolutely. But look, barely kills 11 million people. Barely. Stalin, 50 to 60. Mao, 60 to 70 million. Anybody know the difference? If you watch Eddie Izzard, you'll find out. Hitler kills other people. Oh, silly man, right? Kill other people, we're going to come stop you. Stalin and Mao mainly kill their own people. And the rest of the world typically, same as Pol Pot in Cambodia, typically sit and just stand by. So cocaine is a hell of a drug, okay? As Rick James, Johnny Murphy, you know what I mean? I mean, it's crazy that happens. And most people have no idea about that. They think Mao and Stalin are just choir boys, but they make Hitler look like a Boy Scout. That's how evil these 2 men really were. And this is one reason I don't do group work, because that's exactly what happens. One person does it, everyone gets credit. Oh, you may be dropping the course after this, and my rolls will go from 60 down to 30 people, but 1300s, I'm dying of the Black Plague. 1800s, I'm working 16-hour day. 1900s, I'm off to a war. 2000s, I'm offended. I'm just going to leave that one at that. This is what movie heroes. Yep, you can read it for yourself. I would cry, but real men don't cry. Who's that on the left? I know there's people out there yelling, Rambo. That's correct. Not Sylvester Stallone. I don't know who that dude is. Rambo. Okay? Love endures all things. Hey, I've got a heart. I might come off as harsh and all this, but I'm a softie. Okay, when I do this in class, there's always at least one person who says, if you can read this with... Oh, easy, cowboy. You got to read it to yourself. Okay? Probably something I found on the internet, but pretty fun. All right, why we study history. Now, a lot of you, again, online, I don't know how this is going to go, and I'm going to trim it down a bit because it's just the interaction's not there, but you will get the point when I'm done. This is how I start my class every time, and I say to the students, whom I all love and love seeing you guys. Really, it pains me to not be in the classroom. It really does. I'll probably need counseling or therapy at least. If you can tell me the significance of these two dates without using the Google machine or some kind of smartphone, again, looking at that's not finding the answer. It is, but that's not really using your brain. I'm trying to get you to look at these. So what I'm asking, I guess, is this, students. If you're there, if you're watching this and listen, play along, try to figure this out. Write stuff down, try to and see where I go with it is where you go with it. Okay? If you can give me these two dates, my joke is you don't have to take any of the exams. You have to come to class because I can't excuse you from that. You get an A for the whole semester. Would anyone like to guess how many people have actually gotten this? Well, I'm going to tell you that in a minute, okay? It's been 0 forever until a few years back, and I'm going to tell you that story. But here we go. So what I want now is I start looking at students, trying to make eye contact. Come on. I want somebody to say something. People always pipe up, and the first thing they say is, for the first one. The question's a bit like Celebrity Jeopardy, right? You guys ever watch that? When was the War of 1812, right? Presidents on the $1 bill, right? A sound a dog makes. That's one of my favorites with Burt Reynolds. Yeah, I speak a little French. I'll take 8 tit. I speak a little French. You're an ass-bite. Pardon my French. Right? Come on. If you guys don't watch that, SNL, I don't know. Sometimes I digress, but it's good stuff. So the first thing I get is the War of 1812. Nope, incorrect, but good. It's where I wanted your brain to go. War of 1812, you don't know it. Some of you will learn it in your class, some of you won't. It's the Second War for Independence, run by James Madison, the shortest president, 5'3". He would never be elected today. He couldn't even see over the podium at the debate, right? And again, there you go. People write it down. He doesn't like short people. No, I'm just making a point that things have changed with multimedia. And some of you, the internet has revolutionized that with the TV. Some of you will learn that in American history too, with Nixon and Kennedy, that famous debate. The British burned the White House to the ground. People love to say that. The first terrorist attack is like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, better yet, which Pearl Harbor is on American soil. Pearl Harbor is not on American soil. It's a stolen island nation. You can look it up, to annex, and it literally means to steal. So it's actually the first terrorist attack in American history. They burn it to the ground. Anyone else? What about the second one? So people look at that and they throw out a lot of stuff. D-Day, June 6th, that's what they say. D-Day, June 6, 1944. Many of them say the start of World War II, which is a very interesting rabbit hole to go down, because then I asked the class, when does World War II start? Everyone yells out, so standing up, saluting the flag. December 7th, 1941, and the Europeans are like, "Was ist das?" Right? No. World War II starts on September 1st, 1939. Some of you will want to write that down for World Civ and American history too. When the Germans invade Poland. So the Europeans have been fighting for almost 3 years, 2.5, by the time the Americans actually enter the war. Okay? So different things, different dates. I get liberation of some of the death camps on there, and occasionally I have had some students that will bust out the German invasion of the Soviet Union, but they usually say Russia. And that is actually correct. But only once in my life, and again, all this is here, so if some of you might be sitting here bored, what is this? A trivia question? Trivia game or something? It's not Jeopardy. But what it is, it's to get your brain working. It allows me to see students and where they're at on the first day of class. Who likes history? Most students don't. I love students that don't like history because that's my job. Most of the things I get in my reviews are, I hated this class when I came in and loved it when I left. I don't want to change anyone to history majors. Please don't, right? I know at some schools, I'm not going to mention any because I might have to use these lectures at different semesters. So I try not to use, times of dates and things that we're in now. But I just completely lost my thought there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I totally lost where I was going with. Yeah, I'm back. Oh, and I have to check something real quick. I hope you guys can bear with me. Yes, that is working. Good. It's one of those things I don't like. I don't want to change everyone. Don't become a history major. You'll never get a job and you'll be miserable like me. But I want you to respect history. That's what I want, is to see that it does matter. It is important, and it is more than a bunch of dead white guys. If you get that joke, right? Hear that about history, just a bunch of dead presidents. So keep that in mind. Mark Twain once had a famous quote that I like to use. It's on the syllabus. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. What's that mean? Well, people say that all the time. Well, look at, we had to do this and that in Iraq and Afghanistan. History rhymes. Or, I'm sorry, history repeats itself. It doesn't really, because if it repeated itself, we could stop it, right? We would know, hey, this is going to happen exactly. So it never happens exactly, but it's close enough that just makes you go, wow, that's just so eerily similar. Okay, so great quote. So anyway, I've never had anyone get this. I'm going to tell this story. It was at Palomar College. I know some of you are listening at Palomar right now. And this really happened. It's a true story, and I have to tell it. And there was a little old man, and that's what he was, sitting at this desk, face forward, hadn't said a word, was holding his backpack in his hand, wearing a sock hat, had to be like, the guy was old as dirt, like 70, 80 years old, and just sitting there, never said a word, didn't smile, nothing. Rest of the class, for the Palomar students, half were former Marines, yeah, I said former, not ex, get over it, and the other half were, young students like yourself sitting there, and everyone had been chiming in, saying stuff, and this dude hadn't said a word. So, being me, I just went over to him and I said, hey, old timer, why don't you tell me what you think about these two dates? You think you know the significance of them? And for the first time in my history of teaching, without flinching, he said, well, the first date is the day that Napoleon invades Russia and loses his entire force and his empire. And the second, if I had to guess, was when the Germans invaded the Soviet Union and lost their empire. But I would just say that as a guess. And I had to turn away real quick because I wear my heart on my sleeve. I turned around and I was like, oh my gosh, thinking, I promised this dude an A. What am I going to do? So I turned around real quick and I said, I've been teaching for 10 years. No one's ever gotten that. How did you get that? And I wish I knew how to get a hold of this dude, but his name was Orlando Riviera Jr. He's a big old Puerto Rican Marine from, he's going to kill me if he ever hears this, the Bronx, I think, or Brooklyn. Had this big, thick New York accent. And he yells out when this guy said that. I said, how did you know that? And this guy yells out, this Marine, because he was there for both of them. And the whole class just erupts laughing. And this man, little bitty fragile guy, just looks straight ahead at the board and just chuckles. And I said, no, seriously, sir, how did you know that? And he said, well, it's pretty simple. Anybody who has a brain and knows anything about anything would know that knowledge. And the whole class just went, oh man, he just stole on this 6'6" Marine, and everyone was just shocked. So to bring this all around where we're going with this, we found out the guy's name is Salim Karate. Okay, and this gives me goosebumps when I'm teaching. It almost brings a tear to my eye. I'm not joking. And I said, can you please tell us? And he said, I'll tell you how I know this. Salim Karate, he told us, he is a Jew that was born in Baghdad, Iraq in 1933. Yeah, I know. Just, again, stop. Everyone's like, what? Yeah, so before the Americans and the French and the British after World War II kind of rebuild Iraq, it's a long story. 1/3 of Iraq is Jewish. Most people don't know that. Okay, they control part of the whole city of Baghdad. Okay, and he's born in Baghdad, Iraq in 1933. And he said to us in class, he can remember being 8 years old or whatever, do the math, and watching his father and brothers stick a pin on a map moving eastward every day. And now, without a map in front of you, and I know you guys are Americans, or at least when I say that, it means I'm teaching at a university in America, okay? I know I have international students. This is my joke about Americans being bad with geography. We're like, Iraq, is that by Minnesota? Like we're looking on a map. Where's Ohio at? And what that means is he's down in the Ottoman Empire, right? Down in Palestine, near, the Middle East, as we call it, which we'll get to later. Sorry about that, I stalled. And the Germans are invading the Soviet Union, the largest country on the face of the earth. And once they get to the Caucasus, we just love to say that word, the Caucasus Mountains and the Caucasus Mountains and the oil fields, they will drop down into the Middle East, take over it all, who they've already aligned with the Ottoman Empire, and murder every Jew on the face of the earth. And him and his family are living right there in that history. And it was enough to shake me up, just that, like, wow. And I remember, I'm like, you're on gold status now. Like, you're not, I teach history, I'm nothing. You have lived history. Now, the funny part of that story is he used to leave my class. It got over at 9:10, if I remember. And he used to leave at 8:40 every night. And after the second and third night, I was like, oh, excuse me, sir, Salim, where are you going? And he's like, I take the bus, and I have to because it stops running at 9. But I really enjoy your class. Oh, my God. I was almost in tears. I'm like, which way does your bus go? And he's like, toward Vista. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Is that back toward Oceanside? Yeah, he lives in Vista. And I'm like, you can ride with me. And I'd probably get fired now for giving a student a ride or whatever. The other cool thing about Salim was he was, like I said, he's 80-some years old. And he was just taking classes. He'd taken ceramics at Palomar like 132 times because he didn't want to pay off his student loan debt. And if you keep taking a class, you can defer your loans. He even got called into the chancellor's office, and they're like, you have to stop coming here. And he's like, no. You can't make me stop coming. I really need to email Salim and see what he's up to. But anyway, hopefully the story resonates. Hopefully you can see these two dates. If you don't understand, eat your food, Tina, you fat lard, right? Napoleon, shut up and make yourself a darn quesadilla, okay? Napoleon invades what we call Russia today. It's Russia then. It's the largest country on the face of the earth. And within 6 months, his army's in full retreat. The French Empire, as we know it, the First Republic, is done. And this world that Napoleon's created is over. Why? Because the Russian army is great. Sorry, Russians. I'm going to get in trouble one day, but I haven't yet. No, Russian army can't fight its way out of a wet paper bag. They're just not known for that, right? But the Russian winter, as you guys all know, comes and freezes, and that's what gets them. Does history repeat itself? No, the Germans were much more prepared and did other things, but still they fell into that repetitive pattern, and they invade in the late summer, and what happens to them? The exact same thing. The Russian army, I mean, does anyone in class, I hope you guys know what the Russians do when the Germans come? They do it to Napoleon, too. They typically dig trenches around their cities, the Russians, and then light their cities on fire. So my joke is when the Germans show up, they're like, "What is das?" They're like, "Aren't we supposed to do this?" But the Russians like, "Well, if you want to come into this hellhole, come ahead in, but I wouldn't do it." And so they're trying to wait. They're trying to block the armies out and make them fight in winter on bad terms. And it happens to both armies, and both of them lose their empires. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Okay, why do we study history? Take a look here. On the left of this picture, General George Smith Patton. On the right, General Erwin Rommel, not a Nazi. Everyone thinks Rommel is. He is not. He is a German general of World War II. He's known as the greatest tank general in the history of the world, but he does not join the Nazi Party, just so everyone knows. Point is this. First time the Americans entered in World War II. I got a good story for you. I guess the lecture's going to go longer, but it's what I do, people. So, cocaine is a hell of a drug, okay? I got a story for you. If you don't know, on December 7th, 1941, the Japanese attacked the United States Navy in a stolen island nation in the Pacific of Hawaii. 3 days later, we declare war on Japan. 3 days later, the German Chancellor Adolf Hitler declares war on the United States. And 6 months later, the first real American attack in World War II that we go fight. Does anyone know? I know there's some people screaming it out. It's okay. Write it on your cue card and send me a picture of it later. I'll believe you. Don't worry. Huh? Everyone's like, well, Japan, of course. Nope. Germany. Nope. Not even close. North Africa, and we fight against who? This is a tough one. Mainly French soldiers who are on our side, except this is Vichy France, and we're under British command. Cocaine is a hell of a drug, okay? What does any of that have to do with it? Nothing. It's the most chaotic story in the world. And what unfortunately most Americans don't know is we get the living daylights kicked out of us. We do. Okay? 90,000, the Battle of Kasserine Pass, look it up, 90,000 Americans killed, captured, or wounded. Supposedly Rommel has a quote where he sees the American POWs and walks up to them, and they say, well, this is the great American army. And Rommel says, they don't look great to me. They look weak and scared. We'll take that continent next, meaning North America. So we bring in a stallion. His name is George Smith Patton from Arcadia, California, right here close to us. And the tank has been invented in World War I. The British, the French, they like to argue, and the Germans over who did it, whatever, it doesn't matter. But in World War I, they're used very ineffectively. They're used to just bring troops to the front. They're not used to actually fight and smash through stuff. But during in between the wars, a book is written by the guy on the right, Hans Guderian, called Das Tankland Battlen. That's not really true. Actually, it's written by Rommel, and Guderian is the one that puts it together. Sorry, I have that backwards, I think. And guess who reads that book? Ding, ding, ding. Anyone? George Smith Patton. It's almost like Young Frankenstein, if you guys have seen that. Victor Frankenstein, How I Did It, How I Made the Monster, right? He writes a book of how to use a tank. Adolf Hitler has a famous quote in 1930, I don't know when, 33, 34, 37, 38, where he says, the Second World War, when it comes around, will be fought much differently than the First World War. And he's very aware of that. And the Germans are the only one who get the memo of that, right? And that's why the Germans are able to smash through every country that they do. Some of you will be learning about that this semester, and some of you, again, will not, okay? But the point is, here's my famous story of this. I want to tell it. It's a movie called Patton. It's supposedly a true story. Again, Rommel has been destroying the American army. They bring Patton in. Rommel doesn't know this. Patton's up on a bluff. He's standing up there. He's got the American tanks in a certain position. Here come the Germans, and all of Patton's generals are coming up. George, we're going to get crushed. He does this, he does that, and Patton's like, shh, just wait. I've got a plan. Just wait. Like, George, we're going to get crushed. He's like, no, wait. He's going to turn. He's going to turn at the last minute. And at the last minute, Rommel deploys his forces and turns, and the Americans move in and smash him. And we get our first victory in World War II. And Patton looks over the bluff and screams, Rommel, you magnificent bastard! I read your book! Right? So why do we study history? To not repeat, as we say, or rhyme the mistakes of the past. Okay? This is a pretty basic one. In class, I ask right now. Okay, if you don't know, the Americans are the only people to ever drop atomic bombs. We dropped 2 of them, one on Hiroshima, one on Nagasaki. And I ask, if you think, from what you know right now, we should have dropped 2 atomic bombs, raise your hand. And I always say, this doesn't make you a racist. You might be a racist, but this is not the good litmus test. I'll get typically 2 to 5 people that raise their hands and very cautiously. Fair enough, whatever. The times there are changing, as Bob Dylan said. And then I say, who thinks what, right now we should not have? That's absolutely wrong, and I might get 2 to 5 more. And then I realize, hey, I'm in a class of anywhere from 35 to 70 students. What about the rest of you? And inevitably, we always get it out of them, well, I don't know. I kind of need more information, or I used to think this, but now I think that, or I used to think that, now I think this. And that's another reason we study history. Capiche? Does everybody understand? What do you think? I was born in 1970. Okay? What do you think I was taught about the atomic bombs? Should we have dropped them? I was born in the Midwest. People always say, what part? And I say, the crappy part. Okay? What do you think I was taught in the 1980s? Oh, heck yeah, we should have picked up Texas and dropped it on the whole country of Japan. Bam! Just smashed them, right? And now my point is today, you're seeing more people that think we shouldn't have done it, it was a mistake. Now, everybody hold on to your shorts here. We're not going to solve this specific question right now. But the point is, people say that, they're rewriting history. I disagree with that. I'm a little more open with that. Hey, look, your different generations will look at things in different ways. Those in World Civ 1, I'll be playing some clips from a book called Jerusalem, and it's a great quote in there where this guy, Simon C. Max Monteforte, says in the book, your great-grandkids will look at you and things that you believe and think you're insane, and think they're completely irrational. And I think that's a great line, right? I mean, we're seeing this today. We're seeing all this. I mean, and at times that might stagger a bit or something, but it's a very good quote, right? Everybody follow it? Your grandkids or great-grandkids will look at things that you believe and think, these people are archaic. They're out of their minds. Very interesting, because I don't feel that way today. I feel like, my thoughts are pretty solid. Okay? All right, again, I've made this very clear. I don't know if you guys can see me moving this. I hope you can't see that. I'm assuming that you can't. That's a little bar for me for Camtasia. That's what I'm using. Okay, if you're in U.S. History 1, an assassin, things you'll learn in this class. Let's get it over with. Tried to shoot the 8th President of the United States, Andrew Jackson, but both of his guns misfired, and Jackson promptly opened up a can of whoop ass on the man by beating him with a walking cane. Almost beat him to death. America, baby. Come on, that's awesome. Take this, President. Bam. Oh, misfire. Bam. And then he promptly walks over the cane and beats the man to death, almost. It's just, you don't see that happening these days, huh? All right, let's move on. All right, that didn't work. What happened? No one knows? I'm not. There we go. If you're in U.S. 2, you'll learn this. No bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor, dumb bastard die for his country. One of the greatest lines ever uttered by George Smith Patton. Okay? If you're in World Civ 1, this will be a key thing that you learn. The Romans were the original Nazis, right? So I got to tell this story. I was leaving Costco one day, and I walk out, and you know how they check your receipt? There's a young man there, and his name is Caesar, C-A-S-E-R, right, Caesar? And he has the biggest Hitler comb-over hair that I've ever seen in my life, right? Even my wife's like nodding at me going, phew. And so but again, his name is Caesar. So I walk up to him and I go give him the salute and I say, "All hail Caesar." And he looks at me and says, "Oh, because of the Hitler hair?" And I almost peed my pants, first off. Probably in 2020 I wouldn't do this, but hopefully the joke comes over via online. His name is Caesar. And I'm like, "No, not because of the Hitler hair, you knucklehead, because your name is Caesar." And if you don't know, I love to make this joke in class that the Germans, the Nazis in general, they've hijacked everything and stolen everything and made it where you can't use it anymore. So most people, I bet 99% of my students right now are probably just going, "Wow, this guy's whack." Well, no, I'm not. Look it up. And I know some of you are nodding. It is not a Nazi salute at all, people, okay? It is done over 2,000 years before the Germans, even or the Nazis, even enter the face of the earth. It is a Roman salute that the Romans invent for Caesar. And it's no different than, if you're in the military, people, putting your hand up to your head, salute. "Yes, Captain. Yes, sir." And then putting your hand down. That's all it is. And some of you are going to find out in a minute what else is we use it for in the United States at times. So it is a Roman salute. Never, 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 never forget that. But the Nazis hijack it, much like the swastika. See it up in the corner? I know some people in World Civ 1, you're going to learn that. I know everyone's dying to spit it out, right? It is a sign that actually means good luck and prosperity in ancient Hindu. So again, these kind of things are fascinating in history. Like they're selling them in India now. They're selling coffee cups with swastikas on them. Imagine taking that back to Germany. Huh? Hello, how you doing? Right? Not going to work, people. I mean, the mustache, should we cover it? I want to grow a stash. The Charlie Chaplin stash? How can you have that now? Hitler's ruined it. The Germans have ruined all kinds of stuff for people. If you're German, take no offense to that. Okay? I am part German. I did the DNA test. We'll probably talk about that all later in class. But the Romans invent this. It is not a Nazi salute. Now, with that said, and with our current, what I want to say, our what's going on in our country today and all this, please, no one, and I do tell my students this, don't go outside, don't go up to friends and give them Nazi salutes and say, "Oh no, I was doing it like the Romans," because you will be in trouble for this, because you're not going to convince the world of this. I'm convincing you of this because you're my students and you're in the class. So I will put a disclaimer on that. It's not wise. Don't take pictures with bad hair and salutes and say, "Oh, I was imitating the Romans." It's not going to come on. It's not going to go off. It's not funny. It's just a fact of life, okay? So the Romans have invented this. They use it for 15 or 1600 years before the Germans even think about it. And the Germans hijack that because they want to be the Roman Empire, right? They want to mimic Rome and Greece, and so they use that. Then because of their atrocities in the modern day and all of this, we associate them with them, with that sign with them, okay? Make sure you keep that in mind. There you go. Nazi meth, Breaking Bad meth. Yeah, I don't like that, huh? That does that. Okay, the Nazis invented meth. So in case you don't know, they actually did. The barbiturates invented by the Japanese, then the Germans get a hold of it, and they use it for their soldiers in the Soviet Union. Again, it's not like meth with rat poison and Sudafed in it like we have today, but it's very pure, and it's used to keep German soldiers awake on the Soviet Union, so they can fight for hours on end. Okay? Jesus was neither a Democrat nor a Republican, and he associated with prostitutes and thieves, and he hated the hypocrisy of the religious leaders of his day. And I think that's really good because what is world? Sometimes I get history students say, "Professor, history bothers me because I don't want to talk about religion or politics." I'm like, well, you're in the wrong class. Okay, I mean, if you're in World Civ 1, any class, any of them, US 1, anything. That's going to be the main topic of them: wars, religion, and politics. So it's something you got to keep in mind, okay? Excuse me on that. It's illegal to sell alcohol in the county that Jack Daniels is made in. That's all I can tell you. It's in Lynchburg, Tennessee. You can go there. They'll give you a free sample. You can look at it, but you cannot buy it. It's called a dry county. It's dumb. Clinton Rose didn't love Jack Leo as much as she said, because there's plenty of room. Look, I'm not even going to go to position 4. You can count them 1, 2, 3, 4. Left. I mean, that's one we all thought of. But look at this. There's plenty of room to do all kinds of stuff. Just let him up on the raft. Move over. This one affects me more than you can imagine. But yeah, from 1950 to 1953, a war was fought in Korea that ended exactly where it began. Over 3 million Korean civilians were killed. Additionally, 45,000 Americans, 1.25 million Korean soldiers, and over 1 million Chinese soldiers were killed or wounded It is known as the Forgotten War. Pretty much everyone except, well, you already know it now, but yeah, in World Civ 2 and US 2, I touch on this a lot and will teach on it a lot. It's a disgrace, in my opinion. We all know about the Vietnam War, but many people have, I always have students raise their hand. 90% of students never know that we fight a war in Korea, and I think it's a disgrace. And unfortunately, many Korean War veterans, most of them have passed by now, die. They live and die bitter, and hateful toward the United States and toward American citizens because they're never thanked for something they didn't want to do and were forced to do. And all you ever hear about is Vietnam. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a classic thing in history for this to happen. Vietnam overshadows Korea, but we shouldn't let that happen. We shouldn't let that happen at all. Okay? There you go. Buddy Holly's the original hipster. Look at that. This is circa 1956, baby. And he's dressed just like people today, okay? Buddy Holly. I tell a good story about him, but I'm not going to here. We're 50 minutes into this. I try to keep these around 45 minutes so you guys don't... that was your head. Hitting the computer, right? Falling over, asleep because you're bored. I get it. I do my job. I try to keep them under 45 minutes, an hour. Sometimes it's hard, okay? He's the original hipster. If you don't know Buddy Holly, hey, the Beatles, the greatest band ever I told you about. Who's their idol? Here's one, Buddy Holly. Second, anyone know? Thank you very much. That's right. Elvis the King, baby. They call him the Governor. That's what the Beatles used to refer to him as, the Governor. They thought he was the bee's knees. We live in an expanding universe, always trying to get away from Chuck Norris equals MC squared, and Chuck Norris equals badass. I love Chuck Norris. All right, the greatest hip-hop band, in my opinion, is three Jewish guys from New York. The Beatsy Boys, yeah. First, on the far right, Adam. Three. I always have students try to name them. They usually get one or two, but MCA, that's the guy on the right. His real name is Adam Yauch. Recently, unfortunately, died about 7 or 8 years ago at the tender age of 46. In the middle, anyone? Well, the left is easier. Mike Diamond, or Mike D. It's actually his real name. And in the middle, Adam Horovitz. Adam Horovitz, who goes by Run DMC is all I can think of. Ad Rock and MCA. Ad Rock. And my joke about that is, why'd they change their names? Because what rhymes with Horovitz? I can't think of anything except Horovitz. What rhymes with the Yauch? Well, again, nothing except Yauch. All right, Johnny Cash is a 2-word answer for why it's still good to be an American. Ooh, I love that line. Love it. Helpful hints for class. A lot of these might refer to while you're in class. But hopefully you guys are watching this, and this will help me. I struggle. I hope everyone is watching this, because if you haven't, here's where you need to be hearing this. I am getting a lot of emails about, hey, I don't have the book. Hey, I don't have this or that. Hey, and I think those are things that you can work out. So when I ignore you on that, I see your emails, but you've got to figure that out. I can't send you a copy of the book. And I don't say that in a hurtful way or anything like that. There's just really nothing I can do. So when I get some of these, hey, do I have a copy of? No, I don't have that. If you look on the side of Canvas, you'll see that I have hidden everything because I don't like the way Canvas runs, except what? Somebody tell me. Grades, modules, hell, I can't remember. And people, there's a hint. You get to know a classmate. They're going to be able to help you far more than I can with that, okay? And yeah, I just did that again. So I want to make sure this is recorded. I can pause this occasionally, but when I do, this disappears. And I don't really like that because I can't see it, and I'd hate to be talking without knowing that was going. So keep that in mind, okay? Be sure to read the announcement board. For some of you that are in certain schools, again, these are going to be different for everyone. You're just going to find out. A lot of people are struggling with having a copy of Microsoft Word or PDF, that Microsoft 365, I guess. Many of the schools provide it for free, and I'm putting links. Read the announcement boards. A lot of times if I ignore your emails, it's because it's in the announcement boards. Let me take this time to, students, I promise you, all I want from you is to learn, and I want you to give me your best, and it's my goal in life. I love what I do for a living. I can't please all of you. Some of you you've hated me before the class even started. Some of you love me before the class even started. I get it. But all I want for you is the best. And I have received your emails in the introductions to allow myself to introduce myself. I too like to live dangerously. Austin Danger Powers. Your contact the professor. I know some of you are like, hey, my brother had your class. Oh, my. All right, here it is. Somebody tell her for sure, okay? At a certain school, Erin, the nursing major, Erin, she was my roommate and all that. I'm getting all of those. I love them to death. I would love to reply to them, but it would literally be replying to 250 emails. And I know I'm a slacker, but I do need fingers instead of nubs. And so I am getting them. I appreciate them. I enjoy them, and I'm glad we can at least communicate that way. Okay. I've said too many times. Check your email. Check the announcement board is what this should say. Check the announcement board. And look at that. Moodle Blackboard Sakai. I wrote this slide before Canvas was even invented. Okay, I think we got that covered. And finally, thought it would never end. I just painted the animals in Australia that don't kill you. All right? Bob Ross. Come on, man. Love this guy. All right. Let's look forward. Back to that in the same vein. This is very important. Again, I was going to post it. I'm going to say it now. And then people will still be emailing me about it. A lot of times you're going to notice the lectures aren't going to come around until Thursday or Friday. Now, I get it. A lot of you are like, what are you doing that for? How can I post in the discussion board? Well, exactly. I'm waiting for you to read the chapter and post. Then I'll put the lecture on after. If I do everything for you, you're not doing a lot of the work here, okay? So if the lectures are there, they're there. If they're not, keep working. Keep working. Don't wait on me to do it for you, okay? All right, I'm looking forward to it. Let's have a good one.